Hello, and welcome to the Great Game Debate Podcast, where friends come together to talk about video games and our lives. As always, I'm your host, Caden Barthé Lane, and joining me, of course, no longer freshly hardwired Wes Bates, but Mr. Shakedown Wes Bates, the one who has run off with all the money we've raised for our game development. He's come crawling back to us. How you doing, dude?
How many times do we have to go over this? Look, I brought some of the money back. Okay, I brought some. I was trying to, like grow the fund a little bit with a little bit of illicit gambling.
You can grow it
But
at the casino. Yeah,
yeah, it just didn't work out. Okay,
we'll talk about it
you're
later.
never gonna let me live this down. Anyway, just wanted to share some quick random video game trivia with everybody. So, we all like Metal Gear, right?
Of course.
So I was checking out some Metal Gear stuff this week, and I saw a really interesting video talking about the development of Metal Gear Solid 3, where apparently a large part of that game, not apparently, a large part of that game does take place in the jungle. You're trying to survive and make your way through the jungle while evading enemies. And so in preparation for that experience and making that experience, Kojima apparently took a bunch of his developers out to the woods outside of Tokyo, and apparently they were training in CQC with experts, and Kojima had his like developers kind of like go through an exercise where they had to be hunted through the jungle.
Dear.
And then after they were captured, they were all mock executed as well.
Imagine thinking we're all going on an island jungle retreat vacation, everyone, and then it's not quite what you think.
So anyway, that's commitment to making your game right there, to go out to be mock executed in the jungle or the woods. So I have to hand it to Kojima.
Yeah, maybe Konami wasn't wrong in trying to like separate him from his team.
Yeah, perhaps he was putting the lives of his developers at risk. But that of course is the godfather of the debate himself, Joe Gomez. How you doing, buddy? Got your new setup up and rolling?
I got the setup up, but I've got like boxes. You guys can't see them. I still have boxes that I'm unpacking and just getting stuff all set up still. But yeah, everything's good. I had to unplug the lights that go around my back just because I needed to use that cord for something else. But yeah, man, I've actually gotten some decent game time in lately.
Nice.
I mean,
lucky.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be going on big gambling trips, spending our money, and you'd have more time to game at home.
Never gonna
live
live
the
down.
Switch to the casino or the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
double task.
See, this is why you're hosting. This is why you're the host. You got the brains.
I got the braids.
Yeah.
Our special guest this week, we have the distinct honor and pleasure, and we're all excited to welcome Mr. Michael Damiani from the EZA Allies podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and not just podcasts, of course. You guys are a whole outfit that do all kinds of journalism and reviews and everything. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to come out. Appreciate it.
Definitely a lot of reviews right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope you guys all stop by Midgard on your way to pick up your Leviathan axe, because it's time for the icebreaker. All right. Our question comes in this week from community member Captain Stubbs 1. That's Ryan from over, friend of the show and the Spelunkers podcast. Shout out to Ryan.
Not Spelunkers anymore.
That's right. Friendly Fire. It rebranded, right?
Yes.
Check them out. And they just put out, I think they just put out a new Gotta Rank 'em All episode. They're just now finally getting into the revealed Gen 9 Pokemon to rank them, I think. So check it out. It's a good tab.
They also put out their, I think their first kind of game discussion, in-game, I can't talk today. In-depth game discussion on Plague Tale Requiem. So
very nice.
If you want a good companion piece while you're playing Plague Tale Requiem, check it out.
Very cool. So Ryan's question is, what was the most recent time you expanded your gaming horizon and why? Did you try out a new genre and get hooked, or switch console teams, or fall in love with a new IP? Got anything for this, Wes? Jumps to mind?
I was thinking about this because I'm not one to typically like push the boundaries of what I enjoy too much. I know what I enjoy, and I try to stick to that. But, and this will speak closely to Damiani's heart, I think. I've heard so much talk about how great Final Fantasy 14 is over the years.
Mhm.
And so I actually did give it a go. I gave it a
Oh,
try. I bought the game and I spent about 6 hours playing it. Um, and I was having a really hard time with it. I've never played an MMO before, and this
Okay.
is I think this is the problem is I need some help. Kind of I'm not unwilling to try it again. Like I didn't think what I played was bad. It was just like overwhelming, and I'm like I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
So that was probably the last time I really tried something truly new, and it didn't work out for me in that instance. But I think I was in over my head in that instance. So.
fair enough, man. You gave it a
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. As a heads up, not just it's a meme, but there's a free trial. You said you bought the game. You technically could have done a free trial to level 60 through the second expansion without any kind of subscription or payment commitment. That's one way for people to get in. That's a little bit like lower barrier to entry. But besides that, sorry, that's a meme. It was like I couldn't pass that up to
Yeah,
say that.
exactly.
But I forgot to say it's critically acclaimed as well. That's like the
Of
whole point
Yeah.
of
course.
it.
Yeah.
There
But
was
I'm not,
a
go ahead. Sorry.
deal on PSN, and you could get like
Oh,
everything with all the expansions plus Shadowbringers for like
Oh man.
I think it was
so
like $30 or something.
okay, so yeah, like let's assume you should give it another try and you like it. You actually are going to come out ahead because you're saving a lot of money on that.
Mhm.
Because yeah, you bought the all-in-one thing. Definitely very fair point. It's a very overwhelming to jump into this game, especially if you have no MMO experience. 14 was my first real MMO as well, but it's
Oh
Mm,
been
really?
what
Okay.
like 2013 is when A Realm Reborn relaunched.
wow, that's
So it's
wild.
been like 9 years now. Like actually, I think exactly a little over 9 years. But I can still remember when I first tried it out, just being a little bit lost at first because I didn't play WoW. I didn't play anything. I tried like Final Fantasy 11 for a little bit, but they're such different beasts, and I was just always lost in Final Fantasy 11. So this was just it was kind of clicking for everyone, and for me, it took a little bit longer for this game to click. Um, I do get asked a lot since I play it, like for advice. I think the best
Yeah.
advice is to maybe not get things over explained to you. People then tend to have
Ah,
a habit of just giving you way too much information, but there are really good beginner guide YouTube videos out there that I think don't go too far and will maybe help you a little bit on your path. That's the thing. To wrap it up, I think it's a very fine balancing act of over explaining, which is going to compound your problem. You're feeling a little overwhelmed. So when people try to explain to you millions of systems, like it's common to them, but you have no real frame of reference, you're just like, what was that again? Like, dude, can I write that down? Or do you have like a succinct video? Where I think there are people who've been playing this so long and get asked that so much, they've done a very good job of this is probably a better path to getting into the game. Whether it's what job you should play, like UI, how to like customize your UI to fit your
yeah.
style, like all like quality of life things you should be aware of. Simple stuff like that, I think, is great. A great place to start.
Yeah, the
Very
UI
cool.
was really the problem that I was having. I'd never played with anything with a hotbar before, and I was like, now there's like
Yeah, there's so many
there's
ways you could
one hotbar, two
set that
hotbar,
up.
three hot. I'm like, too much.
Yeah,
I do
definitely agree.
commend them for how customizable the UI is in the game. That's pretty great. But since you're rolling there, Damiani, did you have anything for the icebreaker question thought of?
So recently, for we have a Patreon tier called Play With Us, where we play games with some of our patrons behind the scenes. And the most recent one we did for last month for October, we did Overwatch 2.
Oh,
Nice.
I've never played Overwatch. I've never played a hero shooter before. So this is my first time now to be And I actually didn't know there were more modes. I thought it was just like the push the cart thing to a goal. I thought that's what Overwatch was all about.
Right.
But there's more modes than just that now, at least in this iteration. I don't know if they had it before, but I
Mhm.
was vaguely familiar with that concept because, ironically, Final Fantasy 14 has a PvP mode they added a few months ago that is literally like push a cart thing, push a crystal
Nice.
to a goal. So I understand that concept, but not in an FPS setting. So
Mhm.
it was an FPS first-person shooter is another genre I didn't generally don't gravitate towards. So it was a combination of something I really haven't played before, plus a genre which I'm not very have a high affinity for, and it was nice to like wrap my head around it. I will say that. Definitely gravitate. Got to bounce around a bunch of different heroes. I know they come in one of three categories, like a support, kind of like the raw DPS, and like the tanky class. I
Mhm.
think I gravitated towards a character called Farah.
Okay.
She had the ability to like like
Oh,
jetpack glide,
yeah.
launch herself up, had like a really big like minigun that like fired slowly
Mhm.
but very powerful burst, and they kind of like had a little bit of like a splash damage to them, so you didn't have to be perfectly
Nice.
accurate, which was nice for someone like me who is already fighting that battle on like playing on PC. Even
Mhm.
with mouse and keyboard, it's still kind of hard for me to like. It's gonna take practice, but even though we lost most of them, there were some matches where I felt like I get what you're supposed to do, and I'm actually understanding, and I'm having a little bit of fun here. And it was all five of us on a squad together, which was really
Awesome.
nice. So playing with friends, I think, mitigated some of that anxiety and
Definitely.
that hesitation you have, especially to a competitive multiplayer game. I think it's
Yeah.
very hard to jump into those
Mhm.
solo. So having friends definitely really paid off. So yeah, it was nice to experience that. I wouldn't mind trying it again. Obviously it's free to play, so I feel good about playing it, and technically not really like throwing support Blizzard's
Yeah,
way. I mean,
sure.
it's still a count created, whatever. But yeah, before that was like Fortnite with Huber. Like I've
Mhm.
never really tried Fortnite, and like Huber just got me into that. So, but that's not as recent. But yeah, Overwatch, I would try it again with if I could play with friends, but
Mhm.
probably wouldn't go into it solo by myself again.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. There's it's any FPS has a lot of toxicity if you're solo queuing, but it doesn't even matter if you're winning really if you're playing multiplayer with a full team of your friends because it's just such a good time. I have that experience with Overwatch where not Overwatch but Fortnite
Mhm.
where sometimes I'll go to a match with my friend and like we won't even be trying to win. We're just like monkeying around in a sandbox open world. Like we found out recently, you can like use a fishing rod to grab a shark out of the water and then just like land ski around on the shark and just do that until we die from the storm. So yeah, that might be a good example for me. Another one that's probably a lot of people's is Hades for me. I think before Hades, I
Mhm.
really was not sold on roguelikes or roguelites at all. And then, man, Hades just opened the floodgates on that for me. That game was something else. But you got anything locked and loaded, Jonah?
I mean, earlier this year, my current goatee, just Elden Ring, man. You know me, always being
Yeah.
the one like against those
We had
kinds
our
of games.
famous Dark Souls 3 challenge with you. That was great.
Yeah.
So that and then also more recently just getting into more strategy games, playing Wasteland 3 with my buddy Jared. So yeah,
Very cool.
expanding and actually enjoying what I've expanded
You'll be
upon.
playing Divinity Original Sin 2 before you know
I
it.
think what really got me into having more enjoyment with Wasteland, having that strategy, is just been playing D&D with the current
Okay.
guys. So I mean, yeah, it helps me role play that character a little better and understand role playing for those
For
kinds of
sure.
games.
That's great. Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks so much, Ryan, for the icebreaker. And our next segment of the show, Damiani, as we were discussing before, and it's usually an interview with our guests, but I think our community's very familiar with you. So we were just kind of opening it up for community questions for you that we took. We'll go ahead and throw our co-panelist Steven's question at you since he couldn't make it this week. But he was really curious. Actually wasn't aware of this, but according to him, he says you briefly worked at Funimation, and he was curious kind of what your role there was, if you didn't mind talking
Yeah,
about that a
sure.
little bit.
Backstory. When I was still at Game Trailers, towards the end, I was afforded the opportunity to relocate back to Texas, to Dallas Fort Worth area, to be closer to my family, and still be able to like work remotely. I shifted to a remote position, but little did I know that they really only agreed to that because they planned on letting me go anyway. So
Oh
Oh
man.
man.
yeah, so it was just a means to, get. I mean, the end was coming a little less than a year
Yeah.
later, anyway, for everyone. But I was laid off. I was laid off from game
Mhm.
trailers, and I didn't have a plan because I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing this. I had some plans for game trailers related things, and one of them was actually trying to network and with other outlets out there to maybe, you know, for recruitment purposes, because game trailers used to, work with like Angry Video Game Nerd and
Mm.
Screw Attack, which was also based in the DFW area. So I was in talking with them a lot about some opportunities, and they were lending their studio space to record a live talk show called Double Talk for Funimation, which they were doing at the time. And he put me in touch with the head of their community team. We talked a bit, and he was interested. And when he heard I'd been laid off, he was like, "Well, we have a positioning opening up here. If you'd be interested, especially since it seemed like nothing else was working out." And ended up at Funimation as part of their community team.
Wow.
I was technically brought on to help with some content creation for original content and potentially original idea like videos to support their seasonal lineups. But then shortly after I was hired, there's kind of an internal change there. And my role was basically just like do whatever needed to be done with the community team. So
Dang.
a lot of it was managing their YouTube channel, working with the trailers team and the video editing team to just get videos up in a timely fashion and
Sure.
for to coincide with the marketing schedule. And I
Mhm.
think the thing I had the most fun doing there because it was a little weird. Like they would do like conventions, but like there was already a team that kind of already went out to do that, and I kind of wasn't a part of that at the time. So I didn't really get to do that, and they had like one or two people like kind of in charge of social media. But I really didn't do any of that, so it was mainly just behind the scenes, like with their video stuff. But a lot of their anime opening and endings from their popular shows,
Mhm.
Soul Eater, Attack on Titan, some of their One Piece stuff. Like basically, yeah, I was like, we should really put a lot of these up there because these are extremely popular. Or like, are we allowed to like? We're the license holder. Can't we just
Right.
do
Yeah.
this? Like, and we'd be official because all the unofficial ones always get taken down. And I'm like,
Exactly.
well, we've
Yeah.
done that in the past for a few things. And I looked at them like, these are some of your most popular videos. Like, duh, like let's do this.
Dang.
So for like a period like of the last few months I was there, I was pretty much responsible for trying to pick a selection of opening and endings to throw up on their channel.
That's really cool.
And I see they like
Yeah, that
continue
is
that, and
pretty
then
fun.
and then Crunchyroll started doing that too. Like I saw them put up like the Bleach and Naruto opening, and he's like,
You're
see,
the
like
one. You gave
everyone
everybody
likes
the
this.
idea.
Yeah, it was so obvious because
Yeah.
like fans loved it, but
Yeah, sometimes you just need that side of the, conversation just to bring a fan in, just to be like, what content do you want? Well, could we just have an official way to listen to the freaking opening? It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Speaking of good anime intros, today, November the 6th, 2022, is the official like Sword Art Online Day. This is the
Oh,
day
really?
that it launches in the anime. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
okay.
interesting. It's funny when things like that happen.
They caught up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking dot hack and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great. It's pretty great. Aren't we past like where Back to the Future 3 was supposed to take place in? It's just like nothing like that.
Oh, I mean, the Back to the Future 2,
Oh
the
yeah, 3 was the last one.
25th. It was
Yeah.
2015.
That is
It's
crazy.
7
That is crazy.
years ago.
We're
I
living
was
in a-
actually at Funimation when that happened because one of the things as the community team was every day there was like some kind of like social media day, like Cat Day, the International Dog Day, whatever. We would try and come up with some kind of content for that, and Back to the Future Day was one of them as well. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Very
It
cool.
finally happened. Now it's like that was 7 years ago. Oh man,
Yeah, it's
yikes.
surreal. I have another question for you, just kind of related to your work history. So I think it fits. But this one coming in from community member Traveling Snowman. That's our buddy Chris. Thanks for the question, Chris. His question is when you came back, I assume by that he means come back to LA or
EZA.
California. Yeah, when you came back to join EZA, was that a tough decision for you to make since you had to move again? So I guess were you quickly having to move, like you moved home and then you had to move back to California or something?
It would seem like it
Mm.
under normal circumstances, but I was basically really trying to find a way to get back out to California because I had no desire to
Okay.
leave the video game industry at that time. I wasn't
Right.
prepared to. Like I
Mm.
wasn't, and I know how hard it is to get into it in the first place. Like how long it took to get in. Like the
Yeah.
first job at Game Trailers. Before that, like for like 2-3 years as a professional, I was trying to apply, and even before that, when I was like not qualified and like still in like high school and stuff, trying to like
Mhm.
apply to those places, like you need to do college and stuff. What are you doing? Yeah, how like just that journey. And so when there was an opportunity to go back to it, I was like, no, you can't say no to this. I have to like do this because
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
wasn't ready. Yeah, sorry if it's such a simple answer. Like
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
it was, I think, a little disappointing for my family because they were hoping I was going to stay like
Glad to
more
have you
long
back.
term.
Yeah.
But I basically had to tell them, I was like, no, this is what I wanted to pursue. This is what I'm still wanting to do as a career. And yes, I was thinking I could stay here because I was going to be able to do some things here more locally, but still be involved in this industry and keep my position. But that's no longer possible, which is funny because now after in the midst of the pandemic, we've shown like remote work that it think, a few years later, like the timing had been shifted, maybe this would be a different
Sure.
conversation for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But at that
Mhm.
time, it wasn't really that viable. And I was like, it was the same guy, the same team I'd been working with, just, new name, and like we had full control. So yeah, I had a few like questions before I joined. I was like, we could have this, this, and like Brandon talked to me. He's like, yeah, if you're good with these, you can come on out. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Like, I'm down to do this. So,
That's rad.
yeah, it was
Yeah. That's
one of
so
the
cool.
easiest choices. I felt bad though. I will say this: like the Funimation team, like
Hmm.
they were like the people I worked with. Some of my favorite people to work with. Like,
That's awesome.
I was very, very fortunate to have the team I worked with at Game Trailers, but not just the current Easy Allies crew, but the people I worked with who got let
Sure.
go when we got bought by Defy. Some
Hmm.
really great friends and coworkers there. Like, it was a really great work environment with them. Funimation team I worked with was like absolute carried that same vibes, maybe even like a little bit further in terms of like good vibes and just being a little bit more maybe like outgoing, like a lot of like after work stuff would
Yeah.
happen there. And then coming back to Easy Allies, like the same, kind of like family there. And so very fortunate to have that like streak of like now since like I started Game Shows at 2008, having, like was it could be like 14, almost 15 years of
Wow.
like working with people I really like working with.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, was not very happy with. Well, it was my first real job out of college, and I didn't like particularly enjoy it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just saw like other friends who've had jobs where like they're just not happy with the
Yeah.
people they work with or what they do. So yeah, like I could not trade that for anything. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're all familiar with that kind of work situation, and it's extremely fortunate, and I'm happy for you that you had such a long string of great working environments. But appreciate you sharing all that with us. That was really interesting. I'll quickly pivot over to Wes and Jonah if either of you have any burning questions for Damiani before we continue with the community questions.
I got one.
Go ahead, Wes. I was gonna ask Steven's question, but Caden already
cool.
beat me to the punch.
I don't think this is Steven's question. This is my question. But so previously, you worked on a number of things with EZA. One of which was Game Sleuth. I was just curious. Since that series is no longer active, were there any things with Game Sleuth that you were looking into, or like any like potential Game Sleuth topics that you were looking into that you really wanted to do, but didn't get to actually pursue with that series?
So when it ended, I was in the middle of making an episode. So it's not like a lost episode or anything like that. I didn't like cut it off while I was in the middle of something, which maybe would have been like similar to like other show I was working on back at Game Trailers, where we did heavily advertise something we were working on and did not see the light of day, which was
Oof.
the Metal Gear timeline
Mm.
video after we did Zelda and Kingdom Hearts that unfortunately didn't happen. But I have like a list of episode ideas still
Mm.
outstanding that were just there that were ready to be like worked on.
Mhm.
And I think I've gone back a few times over the years and just added to them just to have ideas just in case. Like doesn't mean it's ever coming back, but I just sometimes don't want to forget a good or what I think is a good. Sometimes it's not a good
Sure. Yeah.
idea,
Yeah.
but like I just don't want to let it. And it's like, oh, this is this category. It's like a mystery or game myth or something that was like questionable. So let me just put it in the folder, and who knows if it'll ever anything will come of it. But who knows, like that day where it's like, and you need to make this type of show again, or it's coming back, and it's like, oh yeah, like rather than like, yeah, let's brainstorm and get some more ideas, which would naturally happen anyway. I could just be like, oh, there are episode ideas that I never did that I had that were like kind of ready to be part of the lineup. But yeah, there's definitely some ideas I have.
Is
That,
there
that to pick it
anything in
up.
particular that you like feels like really juicy that you'd like to work on
Oh,
that maybe something that you could
there,
share like
there.
I would really
Well,
like to do
Okay,
this or look into that.
we
there's
also
there, most
understand
of
if
the
you can't share it
burning
because you're
most of the
saving it for
burning
later.
passion ones I got out of the way when I was at Game Trailers for Pop Fiction.
Mhm.
The early season ones were a mix of either ones I
That
was
makes
asked
sense.
to do by my like bosses or other coworkers who thought this would be a good idea, and then sprinkled in with the ones I really wanted to do. That just like these are the biggest ones I remember growing up, and I really want to cover these. So a lot of the personal passion project ones were done. The only one I thought wanted to do that I thought would have been a cool idea, but I always marked it as this is a like bigger idea than an episode. I even jokingly wrote movie idea, even though that would make no sense whatsoever. Was to do Polybius, the fake arcade game thing, but like it's been
Oh,
covered to death by now. There's
gotcha.
already like a documentary about it, so kind of
Mhm.
like missed the boat. But that was like the fun one where it's like, oh, we're gonna go like we have a budget and stuff. Let's go big and like let's like go and let's go fly to the arcade and like talk to the people there and do this thing. And man, no, it's been done. There's like 2 YouTube videos. I remember one coming out like a few years after uh the end of Game Trailers. I think there was like one like 3 or 4 years ago. I swear I saw one like on maybe Hulu or Netflix had like a documentary that like covered it as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, like yeah, I feel like all the big ones were done. Yeah, there's some fun ones in there. I mean, the one I think that's like the probably the most obvious that we never did was I kept being brought up a lot was the Cal level in Diablo 2. It's like yeah,
Oh
everyone knows about
yeah.
that by now, but like that was the whole point. If there ever was something that was like kind of covered to death, the episode, my personal like kind of stipulation is we need to add something to the
Yeah.
conversation, and it needs to be something important, whether it's like new information or I've gone over the information and like there's still a question here and I don't think anyone's asking this question. It should be brought up. So usually it meant getting access to somebody through an interview. So if I couldn't get that interview, I didn't feel it was worth doing because it's just regurgitating a lot of
Yeah.
the same
Sure.
stuff again,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel that was compelling enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking my question.
I got one last question for you, Damiani, from our community. I think it's well known how big of a Zelda fan you are, so somebody couldn't
Woo!
help but ask a Zelda-related question. Yeah, Jonah over here, he's not just wearing a green bathrobe; it's a Zelda bathrobe. He's got, I think, the Hylian crest or the Hylian shield is on the back of your
Yeah, so I got
bathrobe.
the crest right there.
Jonah, we gotta see it.
Let me model it for you.
Yeah. Okay, so this one comes in from our community member, Mecha Yairobi. Hope I'm saying that right.
Mecha Yajirobe.
Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Dang it.
Mecha
Anyway,
Yajirobe.
thank you, Wes. So the question is, with the hype surrounding Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, as we now know it's called, I can't shake a concern. There was a 6-year gap between Breath of the Wild and this new major entry. If a Switch 2 were to occur in the next 2 to 3 years, should Nintendo be concerned that they won't have a mainline Zelda for their for their relatives early in. I don't know if that's what he meant. We won't have a mainline Zelda in the early cycle of their new console. I always felt that not having a mainline Zelda within the first few years of the Wii U is one of the reasons for its failure. Yeah. So, do you have any comments on that?
Sure. It went a little slightly different direction I thought I was going to go. I'll work backwards.
Sure.
Absolutely do not. Wii U might have sold a little bit better if it had a Zelda game
Yeah, I don't think
at
it
launch.
saved
And
it
it's the
though.
only, and it's only when it didn't have a original brand new Zelda. Yes, it
Yeah.
got ports.
You got some of the
Don't
best
think
ports.
Breath of the Wild did come out on it at the end of its
Mhm.
life. Breath of the Wild being Wii U exclusive at launch, I don't think would have saved that console. I think there was
Yeah.
a lot more other issues are bigger than just its software library. It
Mhm.
had an image problem from the very start. If you don't remember, they spent 2 whole E3s on that system trying to
Wow.
inform people what it was, and all the stories when it launched were anecdotally from GameStops and from Best Buys were parents asking, "Where do I buy the peripheral? Where do I buy that like gamepad thing for it?" No
Right.
one knew it was a new system.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Also, it probably came out a few years too late.
Mhm.
Anyway, to answer your actual question, I thought you were getting into about whether or not we were going to hold it for a new successor of
Oh,
Switch at
I'd
this
love
point.
your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, no. I think it's fine because there have been other systems that have, done just fine, and Zelda wasn't a part of their initial launch. Now, I think maybe back in the day, years meant a little bit more when some of us were like much younger. Especially if you're like a kid, anywhere from like a kid to a teenager, time moved a little bit differently. So when I say like Ocarina of Time coming out only 2 years after the launch might seem like early in the life, to me that felt very long after the launch of the
Sure.
Nintendo 64. So, and even though that system was another step down in sales from its predecessor, I think most people think the N64 did just fine for what it was, and that game was really good. And GameCube also, had the Wind Waker come out in the US about 2 years roughly after its initial launch, but it did have other stuff before. So I don't think it's that big of a deal to have a Zelda at the beginning of a life cycle. Now, I will say, in the current context of things, if there is a Switch 2 coming in the next 2 to 3 years, it would actually very much benefit it for it to have like Tears of the Kingdom launch on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have to say sometimes that doesn't align,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't make sense. So I
Mhm.
think it's perfectly fine for them to have Tears of the Kingdom coming out next year on current hardware, and I don't think it's necessarily indicative of the fact that you we're going to wait 6+ years for the next Zelda game. I know Zelda games mainlines take a while. I think we need to wait and see what this game is about to understand why it's taken so long, because there's definitely
Mhm.
questions about why it took 6 years for a supposedly direct sequel, which reuses some assets and maybe possibly some of the same engine. We don't know. We don't know these answers. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
question marks. So till you have the full story, it's fun to speculate, but like don't take it as absolute just yet. And I
Of
think
course.
as long as it's going to matter more about what the Switch 2 hardware is than its software lineup at launch. For
Yeah.
number one, it being backwards compatible with everything is probably the most
Yeah.
important thing. That you can just take your existing lineup and maybe play and it works on Switch 2 seamlessly, and maybe even gives it a slight bump in fidelity would be, great. They don't need to have a Zelda at launch for that, and I think it'll be fine. But yes, honestly, yeah, if a Zelda like a third entry in this Breath of the Wild series, if I don't know what we're calling it, is it whatever, like
Yeah.
a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. That's the easiest way to call it. If there was a sequel and somehow came out 3 years later and it was a Switch 2 launch title, yes, that would be amazing. But yeah, sorry, and we're going around in circles here. But
Oh, no,
to
no,
sum
you're
it
good.
up, don't put
Yeah.
too much stock into killer app / launch lineup. It makes the rounds, it gets the headlines, and it can help. But if you look back at most console launches and their success over long term, it wasn't necessarily the launch lineup that was the like make or break for it. It was a lot of other things that were more important that factored into it.
For sure. For
Plus
sure.
Nintendo's got like they've got so many IP that are just as big, if not bigger than Zelda, that they can also put on there at launch too. So like a sequel to Mario Odyssey, for instance,
Yeah.
or like they just decide to drop a new Donkey Kong game or something, or Mario Kart 9 drops on the Switch 2. Like,
yeah, maybe
you will sell
maybe
that.
Metroid Prime 4 will end up a Switch 2.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say. Metroid Prime 4 is the Switch 2 launch title.
Yeah, it would be outlandish, but I think you had the answer correct with Mario Kart 9. I think that absolutely is being held as the launch title for the next Switch. I think it's going to launch with a new Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And that would be absolutely smart because it is their best Yes, Breath of the Wild is a huge seller. It dwarfs the other Zelda games. It's one of their top selling games period on Switch. But it's still over 10, 15 million sales behind Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a port of a Wii U game. So Mario Kart 9, especially if it's anything cool like Mario Kart Ultimate, like guest characters and stuff, that thing is absolutely going to blow up. It'll sell better than Smash Brothers Ultimate. It'll blow it up. Mario Kart 8 already did, but it will be a bigger deal than Smash Brothers Ultimate in terms of hype levels, combined with a series that has the longest legs of anything other than even Pokemon, even blows away Pokemon. And you think that that's huge, or Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's really mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's just insane how powerful Mario Kart is, especially after the Mario movie comes out next year, and Mario's gonna be huge again. Yeah, Mario Kart 9 is gonna be
time is ripe.
Biggest release they've ever had. Period.
This is an interesting conversation that might be some foreshadowing into the game later.
Okay. Yeah, I think honestly, even if the Switch 2 just launches with a remaster of higher resolution frame rate for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, each full price, I'd still buy it. So I guess that's where I sit on that. But yeah, thanks good for the question. And I think that'll wrap up our little interview segment. So I'll turn things over to Jonah for the debate.
Welcome back to the debate, where we have a fun, stealthy debate with Michael Damiani representing MGS1, Metal Gear Solid 1, versus Caden Bertha Lane representing MGS3 or Metal Gear Solid 3.
He's got the banana. Look out. He has unlimited ammo.
I know you said bandana, but it really came through as banana. Watch out. He's got the banana.
There's a banana in Metal Gear Solid 3. So.
Anyway, each of our contestants will have 2 minutes for their opening, rebuttal, and closing thoughts. Michael Damiani, as our guest, would you like to start or close the debate?
I guess I'll start.
You'll start? Okay.
Confidence.
Sure. MGS1 was first.
Okay.
I don't know.
There we go. All right.
I don't really mind.
It was faded.
Before we get this started, just a reminder, we also have Wes Bates as our assist trophy. He will add an additional 30 seconds to your time, and you can call on him at any point, and he will give his opinion on your debate. He'll either fight for you or fight against you, depending on when you call him.
Alrighty.
And who calls him.
I promise I will not fight against you if you call on me.
We'll
Fight
see.
against your opponent.
He's sneaky like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're calling Mr. Shakedown for nothing.
There's a bunch of triple agents in Metal Gear, so you never know.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Damiani, we got 2 minutes on the clock. Ready, set, debate.
Metal Gear Solid invented the stealth action experience by doing a fantastic job of weaving together action with narrative via fully voiced codec conversations and cutting-edge cutscenes. It's set in a great environment, Shadow Moses, in a military base in the Alaskan wilderness. A very unique spot for a game of this type. All set to a fantastic soundtrack. The famous theme song that everyone associates with Metal Gear Solid started in this game before Harry Gregson Williams' cover of it in MGS2. The song Encounter, one of the most iconic songs, and probably the best ending credit songs with The Best Is Yet to Come. It's kind of like a synth meets kind of upbeat mixture of music for this game that perfectly sets the tone. A few highlights here. The final sequence, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. has one of the best mech fights against Metal Gear Rex. A great duel of the brothers against Liquid atop Rex, and an intense chase sequence just when you think it's over. All the tenets of a great like action blockbuster. This game does so many clever, unique things for its time. That's really they've kind of shied away from. There's the torture sequence with Revolver Ocelot torturing you, where your outcome impacts the ending of the game. One of the few times that this is ever done.
30 seconds.
It made you feel the pain by actually doing it. There were clever use of puzzles, like using heat and cold to change key cards. The Foxhound unit, one of the best units. Very emotional fights. Psycho Mantis is the best boss fight in the game with its puzzle mechanic. Reading your memory card and changing the controller port. The emotion behind Gray Fox's appearance, his speech at the end, fighting him, not being able to kill him, and the message from this game.
Oh, I'm
You can
sorry.
finish about that. I'll give it to you.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Please.
The message about nuclear weapons disarmament is still more relevant than ever.
Ooh,
He was telling the future of these games. Man, this game, this opening stage is just getting me so hyped to just go play Metal Gear Solid 1 right now. Like, I almost want to like forfeit the debate and leave the podcast and go boot up MGS1. It's so good.
We have show to do, Caden.
Yep. I'll tell you, Judge Jonah. I'm gonna pop Wes as my sis trophy at the end of my opening statement.
At the end, okay. Wes, I will call you when his time is up. Aiden,
Right.
ready, set, go.
Okay, while I do not deny the giant leap forward for the game industry that Metal Gear Solid 1 was and its legacy, I want to sell you on Metal Gear Solid 3 doing everything better and how you're going to have a more fun, immersive experience. It's more of like a sim where your consequences don't matter. If you can think of something logical to do, the game almost always has an interaction program for it. But let's talk about some new mechanics in the game. The camo system. So in MGS 1 and 2, you just don't get seen by the enemy. That's your camo. But in this game, you have outfits, patterns, camo patterns for your clothing and your face paint that have a percentage of how well they blend in with different environments. So, you can find these hidden throughout the environment. They make a great incentive to reward exploration. And you can even get special ones from holding up and shaking down bosses or defeating some bosses non-lethally that actually give you new abilities, like eliminating the sound of your footsteps, giving you regenerating stamina when you choke enemies, or eliminating your hand shaking. And these carry over into New Game Plus and make a really fulfilling, fun new experience to do. New Game Plus. But characters also react to some of the things that you can wear. One of the optional items you can get is a realistic, like mimic crocodile head cap. And if you swim underwater with just your head out, enemies just think you're a crocodile and ignore you. Enemy dogs
seconds.
will also be afraid of you. And if you wear it during boss fights, they'll comment on how ridiculous you look. They'll call you ridiculous. And get serious. What are you doing? Like in the middle of the boss fight. So that's camo. Quickly, there's a stamina and animal system in this game. So you need to eat things to survive. So you can kill animals and capture them. You can eat them fresh. If you kill them and store them in your inventory, they can rot and become poisonous. You can poison enemies
Time,
by
Wes,
making
go.
them eat it.
I give my life not for honor,
I
but
should have known. I should have
for
known.
you. In my time, there will be no one else.
10 seconds.
Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a
Time.
dream, snake eater.
Card.
Oh, Wes blessing us with his golden pipes. Gotta love it.
Thank you. I could not have asked for a better assist trophy.
Okay, Damiani, time to go into the rebuttal phase of the debate. You still have your assist trophy. 2 minutes are on the clock. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Okay, to address some of the things you brought up specifically, the setting, you did touch upon it a little bit, the jungle setting. I think while I agree with a lot of things you said about the stamina, the camo, that all is true, and it is a leap forward for the series. I feel like the environment was a bit deceptive. While it literally looks like a jungle, it doesn't feel like a jungle. It's like a lot of corridors still, and it really didn't evolve past the design of MGS1, which carried over into MGS2 and into MGS3. I don't feel there's as much freedom as advertised, and in the end, it still felt very like linear like that. And there still were different approaches you could take, but it didn't fully feel open like I was expecting for the game. And then you touched a little bit upon bosses in there. Now, you didn't really go into depth about them, but I will say I do feel MGS1 has superior boss fights, not necessarily because of the mechanics. Both games have very fantastic puzzle / mechanical attributes to them. But I didn't feel except for one fight in MGS3, maybe two, they didn't have the emotional impact that MGS1 had for me. Every single character that you fight against MGS1 has a great backstory, has great character development. It has a face that you're constantly seeing and are actively part of the narrative. So when they ultimately meet their demise,
30 seconds.
You feel a very, very strong, powerful bond with them. I cannot forget the first time I finished Sniper Wolf and had to pull the trigger there. You don't do it like you do in MGS3, but MGS1 did it first, and it got me with that one as well. I will say that it's a cast. I just think like MGS1 has like a better overall story and a better cast. Like Meryl, having her as your companion. Otacon, great.
All you gotta say is Otacon.
All you gotta say is Otacon. All right, Caden, you got 2 minutes on the clock for your rebuttal. Ready, set, debate.
Okay, we're talking about bosses here. Maybe Metal Gear Solid 3 doesn't have the emotional impact, but a game's a game, and the gameplay is more important than the story. Let's talk about the interactivity of the mechanics in the boss fights. You take Sniper Wolf and MGS1. Well, let's look at the end in Metal Gear Solid 3. There's all kinds of insane mechanics with the end. You can run into the end early in the game before you fight him in a cutscene, and after the cutscene, he's like hiding in the distance on a dock behind some crates. And if you have a sniper rifle, you can actually snipe and kill him before his boss fight. And then when you get to the boss fight, he's already dead, so they replace him with a unit of Ocelot soldiers. But if you don't kill him, then during the boss fight, there's all these insane things that you can do. So he has a pet parrot, and the parrot is scouting for him in the boss fight. And if you sneak up on the parrot, you can kill it, which infuriates the end, making him more aggressive and making more mistakes to come after you in revenge for his parrot. But instead of killing the parrot, you can also choose to knock it unconscious with a tranq dart and capture the parrot. And then once the parrot is imprisoned by you, can deploy the parrot and release it, and it will flee in fear back to the end and lead you straight to his hiding place. I should mention this boss fight is across 3 maps, and it's like a sniper duel where you're each hiding and trying to sneak up on the other one instead of just looking down a corridor at each other. But also you can just eat his parrot if you're just unhinged. So if you sneak up on him, this is where you could hold him up and shake him down, and he drops his own camo outfit for you. And if you wear it, you gain his ability of photosynthesis, where you regain stamina by standing in the sunlight. The other thing that happens is if you save your game, paramedic will say, "This is a bad idea, Snake. I don't know why, but I think you shouldn't save your game." And if you do it anyway, and you wait 5 real world days and reload your game, the end will sneak up on you and shoot you in the head and say, never close your eyes on the battlefield. But if you wait 2 weeks, he dies of old age in the game. And he's just dead and you don't have to fight him.
Could you imagine, like, you just save in the middle of the game, you, like, first time playing this game, you forget about the game for 2 weeks, you come back, you're like, who played my game? Why is he dead?
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Oh, man. Damiani, you've got 2 minutes on the clock. You still have Wes if you'd like to use Wes. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Sure. I'll use Wes at the end of this to give you a chance, Wes, if you want. I will say Metal Gear Solid pioneered so much of things that have been that have paid off in future not just future Metal Gear games, but in other similar types of games. Essentially, it was the calling card for Hideo Kojima. And again, atmosphere. I think it comes down to atmosphere. And a lot of these kind of, I don't want to call them gimmicks, but these creative ways to tackle situations all came from Metal Gear Solid. The illustrate it the best way I can. The sequence of seeing all those dead soldiers cut down in a hallway full of blood and an invisible ghost being accused of doing this, and leading to a showdown with a cyborg ninja where you have to use it's not told how you defeat this thing. You've got to scrambling for anything, and then you might discover thermal goggles give off heat signature, and you can see your enemy, and then you can attack them while being taunted with "hurt me more." Like the stakes, like the emotion there. Yes, Metal Gear Solid 3 I think evolves a bit with those types of mechanics, but I think the emotion and the stakes are kind of lacking there with a few exceptions. And that's why I always gravitate back towards Metal Gear Solid 1. I still think it has a superior story, superior soundtrack.
30 seconds.
And for its time, it was just doing things that were unheard of. And yeah, and like gameplay wise, like I some people might say it hasn't aged well. I would also say that CQC and MGS3 was brand new and very rough at the time and was yet to be perfected, like it was in later entries as well. So I still think I would give the edge of like familiarity of the old school style. There's not been a Metal Gear Solid like Metal Gear Solid 1. They just don't do it like that anymore. I moved on with Metal Gear Solid 2. And then I guess Wes, yeah.
So, just judging the two Metal Gears in the game, you have Metal Gear Rex, which is amazing. It's probably one of the coolest, like, designed mecha in any medium ever, versus Shagohod, which is a stupid tank with drill treads. It's an awful design. Metal Gear Rex rules. Shagohod sucks.
10 seconds.
Also, no Cyborg Ninja in Metal Gear Solid 3. That's an L. Sorry.
Love it.
Crippled. I'm crippled.
I love it. Oh, man. All right, Caden. Let's close it out. Your closing thoughts. 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Right, real quick, there's an in-game reason why the Shagohod looks stupid. There were two competing scientists, and one was going to make a Metal Gear, and one was going to make a Shagohod, and the Soviet president was like, well, the Shagohod's going to be cheaper, quicker, and faster to produce because it's simpler, so they went with that one. So anyway, let me introduce to you a complex scenario. There's a scene in the game where after you're tortured, you're put in a jail cell. You must escape the jail cell, just like Metal Gear Solid 1. But let me just illustrate the amount of options you have. So you can fake your death with a cyanide pill. The guard comes in to check on you, make sure if you're dead. You revive yourself, you take out the guard. You can eat rotten food. You can capture a mouse by killing it with a fork while you're in the cell and let the mouse rot. Eat the mouse, give yourself food poisoning, go into the survival viewer, which is this game's whole other mechanic we haven't had time to talk about, where you administer first aid to yourself by like removing bullets with a knife and burning leeches off of you with a cigarette and all that kind of stuff. You can spin Snake's model in the survival viewer to look at him from all angles, but if you spin him enough times, when you exit the survival viewer and go back into the real game, it makes him vomit as if he's really been spinning around. But this cures you of poison because you're throwing up what you ate. But anyway, you can make yourself throw up in the survival viewer. Again, the guard thinks you're sick. He comes in to check on you. You beat him up. You exit. Additionally, you can offer the guard your food to get on his good side, because earlier in the game you can destroy the guard's food supplies and make them starve so they're hungry. So after you give him the rations, he's like, you must not be that bad of a guy. Let me give you back your cigarettes that we confiscated from you. But what he doesn't know is that the cigarettes are actually sleep gas sprayers, so they use that to knock him out. Earlier, while you're being tortured, you could view a secret cutscene from Snake's POV by holding R1 to see the ghost of his boss's former dead lover, the Sorrow, showing you a sign with the code to escape your life. These are all possible options. Oh, there's so much to talk about. There's not enough time. I don't even know what case I'm making anymore. I'm just spewing facts about the game.
Look, the case that you're both making is that you need to play Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yes.
That's the case that we're making.
Okay.
Rami's not making that easy, but
winner.
Yeah.
All right, Wes, as the assist trophy, let's get your thoughts and your vote for the debate this week.
I just love all the crazy zany things that Caden was sharing in his side of the debate. That's really half of what makes these games so fun, is just kind of tooling around with them, figuring out all the weird stuff you can do with them. But I mean, I just really appreciated kind of the heart that Damiani brought to his side with MGS1.
It was
and
a
just
much more organized argument, I would say.
and just kind of like, it just really took me back to my first playthrough with that game, however many years ago that was, like over 20 years ago. And so I'm gonna give it to Damiani in this case.
Okay.
I really
Fair
appreciate
enough.
Okay.
that taking me back.
I agree with you. Damiani's was very organized, structured, and then it had the passion behind it. But I think what really sold me was the chaotic nature of Caden's debate, and it made me feel like this is Metal Gear Solid. This is what Metal Gear Solid means, is to be this chaotic, sporadic, just crazy thing. So my point is gonna go to Caden. Damiani, you freaking killed it, man. But yeah, that's my point, going to Caden. And we will go on to the voting for last week's debate. If you guys would like to vote for this one, you can do it in the Cast Your Votes channel on the Discord. But last week, we had a Tony Hawk soundtrack debate with Blake Hester from Game Informer. Blake bringing Tony Hawk's Underground versus Steven representing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Barely hedging it out. It was Blake 10-7 for Tony Hawk's Underground.
Oh. All right. I'll have to check out that soundtrack.
Congratulations, Blake.
Yeah.
You won, Blake.
Nice work, Blake.
You're a real thug.
And with that, we will go on into the pitch.
All right, and we are back for the pitch. And disclaimer, as always, the debate's all in good fun. No beef on the games, both masterpieces. Go play them both, please. But now it's time for the pitch, wherein a handful of us panelists will have 2 minutes each to give an elevator pitch on a mystery game, and the rest of us will decide whether or not we will buy the game based on the pitch. So, Wes, I know you got something prepared for your pitch. Why don't you show us how it's done? I guess Jonah, if you want to count him down.
2 minutes on the clock. Ready, set, pitch.
Right, I'm bringing an underappreciated gem here to the show. This is a Switch exclusive. I'm sorry, Jonah, you will not find this game on Game Pass. But this is a game that I really enjoyed when it came out originally a few years ago. And in preparation for a new game coming out, I replayed it recently, rediscovered this game playing with my daughter. This is a family-friendly game. Anybody that has kids can fully enjoy this game. This game is chock full of jolly vibes, humor, and classic Nintendo characters. Characters that we all know and love very much, but in a different light. In the light of a strategy battle game.
Oh.
But this game has every character that you play has a unique moveset, unique skill tree, and brings a little bit something different to the battlefield. And you might look at this game and think that it's a kiddie game that anybody can play, but some of these battles, they get pretty intense and pretty complicated, and you'll really have to test your strategy skills to make it through without dying completely, or there's different levels. The game critiques you at the end on how you did,
30 seconds,
depending on how many turns you took to finish the battle and whatnot. Beyond that, you can discover an awesome, beautifully rendered world, music by legend Grant Kirkhope, it just has a great soundtrack as well. There's a lot of fun puzzles to do as well in the overworld. You're running around in between battles. It's just a really, really great game. You guys probably might already know what game I'm talking about, but it's worth talking about because it's a really solid game.
Time. Oh, right on the money, Wes. Very nice.
Well, I'm sorry to inform you, Wes. I do not have children, so I guess I will not be playing this game. But I'm just kidding. I think I know what this game is, but I'll humor you. On paper, wow, does this game sound tantalizing? I'll bite. Yes, I will bite. Jodo, what do you think?
With that statement, it sounds like you knowing what the game is, you wouldn't actually buy the game.
We'll talk about it.
All right. I do know what this is, and I have been very interested in actually picking this game up. So yeah, I'm in.
I feel like this goes on sale for like $15 like all the time.
Oh.
Too. Yeah. So
it gets real cheap a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it for a song usually.
What do you think, Damiani? Are you biting?
Well, I do know what it is, and I did bite on it when.
All right,
it came
ahead of the
out.
game. It's a time paradox.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're kind of like preaching to the choir with this one, so I definitely would recommend and endorse it as well.
All right, Wes, would you like to reveal the game that you're pitching?
Game is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh!
And so in anticipation of the sequel for the game coming out, I replayed this with my daughter, and we've just been having an absolute blast going back through it. And I never did play the Donkey Kong DLC, so I picked that up, and we've been working through that too. And if you want to, like, a super chill strategy game that with Donkey Kong Country vibes, I mean, you couldn't find anything better. It's just amazing.
If you wanted the extremely specific thing that this game is, then you couldn't ask for anything.
Is Grant Kirkhope doing the music in the sequel as well?
Grant Kirkhope did part of the music in the sequel.
He's one of the 3 composers they
As
brought.
Oh, they had 3? Wow.
Yeah, Grant Kirkhope, Gareth
Good.
Coker, and Yoko Shimomura.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool.
What is Yoko Shimomura from? It's definitely
Kingdom
Kingdom
Hearts.
Hearts is probably the one I know them most from.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 2.
Oh.
Well, if nothing else, I've learned from this pitch that we have to have Damiani back to debate me on Mario vs. Rabbids Kingdom Battle is bad versus Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is good.
Have you played the game?
Yeah, I finally bought it on sale like a couple years ago for $50, like I said, and put like 5 hours into it or something, and like it just did not click with me. I didn't like the feeling of like everybody running around behind you like a JRPG party with the little droid at the front instead of Mario, and like I just hate the rabbits, dude. Like I just hate them. Like I could not do it. I just could not do it. So but I realize I'm the Grinch and I'm in the minority here, and it's actually a good game, so don't be deterred for playing it just by my opinion. So.
You should check out some gameplay of the sequel because they actually blow the exploration in the sequel out to the extreme. Like you're not just running along a track like anymore, like in the first game. There's tons of side quests and side battles and exploration. A lot more. It's a lot more open.
The
sequel, the characters fight with a giant sword now too, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, there's basically like Rabid Emo Cloud chick in the game. Edge. She's pretty awesome. Edge, yeah. She's pretty great.
The gameplay on the sequel looks significantly better from the first game. Like, not that the first game's gameplay looked bad or anything. It just looks like they're
polish it up.
Yeah, it looks like the next step up. What were you gonna say, Damiani?
Oh, the robot Roomba thing is now above your head. It doesn't leave the party.
Oh, sweet.
And your
Less
party
important.
members are to your side, so it looks a little bit more natural. I did complain about that in the Kingdom Battle. That was a little weird that you always were running behind this thing, and that and then there's more flexibility in your party makeup. You do not have to have certain characters in there anymore. They used to require like Mario being in there and like one rabbit and one non-rabbit variation. Now you can mix match however you want, which is great.
My daughter's playing with Bowser, Rabbid Luigi, and Rabbid Rosalina. I think
nice.
This is what she's playing with.
Yeah, I've seen Rabbit Rosalina. She just looks hilarious. She looks like she's just really not having whatever's going on at the given moment. Cool. Well, great pitch, Wes. Appreciate it. Perhaps rekindling a desire within my heart to give the series a second chance. We'll see. But with that, I'll ask Mr. Damiani here to step up to the pitch. And Jonah, if you'll count him down.
I got
There's
you.
2 minutes.
3, 2, 1, pitch.
All right. I forgot there was a timeline for this, so I'll try to keep this short.
Yes.
This is it's ironic. It's a Switch exclusive. I was holding my breath when you started your discussion, your description, because I was like, am I gonna pick it? No, because you said family friendly. This is not necessarily a family friendly game, though there is an option to make it sort of family friendly. Don't know how good that does. I haven't actually tried it out. If you're looking for a globe-trotting adventure, going to many different locations within the world, both realistic and fantastical, perhaps even alternate versions of those locations in history, perhaps a multiverse, and you like action games, this is the game for you.
Okay.
Especially from a developer with such a pedigree for these types of games. This is the latest entry in the series of these games. It allows you to do very flashy combat that feels good, with a variety of play styles this time. You can mix and match a bunch of different weapons, which changes your combat style. So if you like a more slow, heavy-hitting weapon, you could just stick with that. There's multiple of them. You can go with something with a little bit more range, or you could do something with a little bit more speed. Now, on top of that, all of these come with the ability to impact your traversal. So there's a little bit of platforming in this game, a little bit of exploration, because these environments in these games are a little bit more wide open, a little bit more varied, with a little bit more to do in them. And it is very well known for its over-the-top, flashy boss encounters. So if you're looking for ridiculous set pieces with ridiculous style boss battles, you'll probably find maybe one other series that does it as well as this game. I think it actually has a very good soundtrack this time. It's always had a good soundtrack, but this was pretty standout throughout for most of it. And what else did I? Oh, it has some new variations, some fun kind of mini game stuff in it.
Ooh,
Very
games.
nice.
Okay.
So we all know that this is Mario Odyssey, correct?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All those combos you can do with Cappy, like jumping off of him and capturing. What an incredible collection of descriptors for a video game. I think the only thing that could make it better would be like if the main character was like a very shapely grown woman that was easy on the eyes to provide some eye candy throughout the whole experience, maybe. But it's been a while since I played like a character action game. I think the last one was probably like DMC5. I don't know what year was that, like 2018 or something.
2019, I think.
I think it was 2019.
I think it was
somewhere around there.
It's
So
so long ago.
I'm due. I'm ready to jump in and do some stylish action. What do you think, Wes?
He had me at ridiculous set pieces.
All right, Jonah. How are you on
yeah.
character action games?
I played the first one and I played 80% of the second one. I don't remember why I fell off.
Okay, you're almost caught up.
Yeah. So yes, I'm very in. I actually really like this series. It's ridiculous and fantastic.
And Damiani, would you please reveal the mystery game?
None other than Bayonetta 3.
Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, meow.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question about this game. So I actually did purchase this game. It's sitting on top of my pile of Switch games at the moment, but I haven't played it yet. What's the performance on this game like on Switch? Because I know like 60 FPS is like a really important deal on games like this, and I haven't heard a lot about I've heard a lot about there's been a lot of talk about the controversy behind the game,
Right.
voice acting and everything else.
Okay.
But I haven't heard about the actual performance of the game.
Yeah, so it's not hitting a consistent frame rate. It's not like it has severe performance issues where it like dips down and like, holy crap, this is stuttering. But you do expect from character action games kind of like a locked frame rate, or at least 60 frames has been pretty common, especially coming off Devil May Cry 5. Like played so dang well.
Yeah.
It's more fault. Sorry to say this, but it's more fault of the hardware it's on. Switch is just old at this point.
Mhm.
It's very old, and this game is more ambitious than the previous two. I finished this game 2 days ago, Bayonetta 3.
Mm,
I dove back into 1, and while 1 looks probably as good on Switch as 3 does, in my opinion, it's very like narrow, more. I mean, there's sort of the same things, but it's like a smaller scale. And it's
right.
also not doing as much variety with the environments as 3 is doing. So yes, even in cutscenes, especially the opening sequence of cutscenes, because it's like, you know how a Bayonetta game starts. It's insanity. It starts with some
Mhm.
insane set piece at the beginning where you like don't know what the heck is going on, and you'll find out later what's going on. And even during some of the cutscenes, because it's like giant open city environments, it kind of slows down a bit. And yeah, that's probably it's the biggest knock against it from a technical standpoint, is it's just not as smooth as if it was running on better hardware. So you're gonna have to you're gonna notice that, but I don't think it ever got in the way of any of the combat sequences. Like that was
Yeah,
never. I was
that's the
like,
most
man, this
important
is
thing.
chugging. This is terrible. Like, or I'm noticing this. That
Yeah.
was like when it gets to combat, it's because I don't. You know the gimmick. Like you summon giant like kaiju basically to fight with
Mm.
you at certain points. So it's insane that that's like that's also going on with everything as well. So it looks pretty good,
That's
I
awesome.
think, but it does have performance issues.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely seems like they're doing the best with what they have to work with, like a Monster Hunter Rise type situation or
Mhm.
something. But hey, when we get that Switch 2, hopefully next
Yeah.
2 or 3 years get that
So,
Yeah,
remaster.
we'll get Bayonetta 3 Deluxe.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
I'm curious because I haven't actually really played any of the Bayonetta games except for a little bit of the first one. But DMC5 is like really heavy on, especially when you play Dante. At least like so many options at once.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
got all the styles and all your weapons to switch between. Is it similar in Bayonetta, or do they like rein it in a little more, where you only have a few options at
Generally,
once? Or
Bayonetta's not as doesn't go as far as that. Bayonetta 3 is probably the closest that approaches that, because you can have 2 active weapons that change your move set, and you could toggle that on the fly in combat. But there's like I think there's like 8 or 10 different weapons you can unlock throughout the game. But you can only
that's
have
a
2
lot.
at a time that you can
Yeah,
use. So you don't have to worry about 2. And then there are the 3 kind of like kaiju summons that you can have at any
Mhm.
point, and you can switch between those. And I think there's like 6 or 8 of those as well.
Nice.
Sorry, I could just boot up and double check, but it's it has a little bit of that variety. But I think you're totally fine, more so than Devil May Cry 5, picking like 1 or 2 you really like and sticking with those, and then for the like the demons, the kaiju summons, just like pick 1 or 2 that you like
Sure.
with
Yeah.
those. And I would just say leave the open slot for the newest one, because you keep unlocking a new one. Try it out, have some fun. But I never felt overwhelmed. But also, I'm not that target audience of highest level of play that
Of
is
course. Yeah.
capable of judging
hmm
that how well it does
Mhm.
it.
Honestly, that's
So
how I play
yeah.
DMC. I just use my 2 favorite weapons, So
Hayden, I'm
very
kind of
cool.
surprised you haven't dove into Bayonetta more, just with you
Yeah,
being such a big
with
DMC
my
fan.
history, it's really just been like kind of the accessibility of the games. Like I might be mistaken, but I want to say the PS3 version of Bayonetta had like extremely bad performance problems, and that was my only console to play it on time, so I just never played it. And then when it came to Switch, I think I probably had unfair expectations that it just wasn't worth playing because it's on the Switch. But from what I hear, it looks and runs fine. It's probably better to play the PS3 version. So
Yeah.
I definitely would play it, and I'm sure I'd have a blast. It's just a matter of making time for it. So
With
yep.
like the I feel like the story is written perfectly for you.
Oh yeah.
It's just the most obnoxious, like
Yeah,
ridiculous stuff that
insane, ridiculous, over
yeah.
the top. Yeah, yeah. Well, as long as there's not like a third character you're forced to play as that has a button mash play style, and he summons like a panther and an eagle to fight for him, and it's no fun, and it sucks every time you have to play him, then I think I'll enjoy it. So,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you so much, Damiani, for the pitch. We're walking away, folks, with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Sparks of Hope, and Bayonetta 3. Sounds like a fun evening to me. And with that, I'll hand things over to our resident game master, Wes Bates.
All right, welcome back. It is game time. We're going to be playing a new game today. Jonah just coined the name of the game. Thanks, Jonah. This game is going to be called Top 10 of the Gen. So I've got 7 different consoles, and I've got the top 10 selling games on each console here. You guys are going to go round robin style and see if you can guess all 10 of the games. You have 3 chances to get it wrong. After you get 3 wrong, we're moving to the next console. For everyone you get right, you get a point. If you get all 10, everybody gets 2 points. And whoever guesses number 10 in that round, if you make it that far, will get a bonus 5 points. So we're going to go Damiani, then Jonah, then Caden. Damiani, since you're starting in the first round, I will give you the option of console. So the consoles available are the PS2, the N64, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Wii, and PlayStation 1.
All right. Let's start with the Switch.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Starting with the Switch. Okay, and you guys are gonna have 10 seconds to take a guess. So, are we ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, sorry. Do I start as well for this?
Yeah.
Go ahead and guess.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
All right. Yes. Jonah.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yes. Caden.
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yes. Damiani.
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think of that one.
Yes. Jonah.
Super Mario Odyssey.
That is on the list. Caden.
Does Pokemon Sword and Shield count as one game?
Yes, counts as one game on this list.
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Okay. All right, Damiani.
I will say
I'm drawing a blank.
Pokemon Arceus.
Oh, dang it.
Sorry, Pokemon Arceus is not on the list. Jonah.
Really?
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee.
That is on the
Ooh,
list.
Good pull.
Caden.
Dang it. What do I have on my Switch? First
Hurry.
party.
Hurry.
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh.
Sorry, Fire Emblem is not on the list.
Dang it.
Oh man.
All right,
All right,
Damiani.
Splatoon 2.
Ooh. nice
Sorry, that's also not on the list.
Oh.
So that ends the round for the Switch. The ones that you did not guess were Super Mario Party at 18.06 million.
Really? Okay.
Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl at
Oh.
14.79
Forgot a
million.
I couldn't
Pokemon.
remember its name. That's why I said
Yeah.
Arceus. I was like, I knew.
I'm surprised
when you throw it a
Arceus wasn't
guess.
on there though.
It's too
Yeah.
new, I think.
Surprisingly enough, Ring Fit Adventure, 14.5
Whoa.
million.
Okay.
That was big during lockdown.
Actually, I'm kind of glad that did really well. That
Yeah.
means
I
we'll
never
get
would've
more of
thought
that
of that
kind of
one.
stuff for the future. That's cool.
I should make mention of the fact that it's really hard to find updated information on some of these sales figures.
Yeah, I think it could be wrong. but it's
So
okay.
I checked, tried to check multiple websites: Wikipedia, Retro, Dodo, VG Charts, Nintendo Fandom, and several others to cross-reference. So I can't guarantee for sure the accuracy of these lists, but this is as best as I could find. So
Okay.
Okay.
okay, going into the next round. Okay, so let's see. I think Damiani, you finished the round, right? So we're going over to Jonah. Jonah, you have pick of the next console.
The Nintendo Wii.
Oh dear. Was that on the list?
Yes, Nintendo Wii is
Okay.
on the list of consoles.
I'm gonna start with the best-selling game of all time, Wii Sports.
Wii Sports is on the list. Caden, kicking it to you.
What is it? Super Smash Brothers Brawl?
Yep.
For
Is that
Smash
the one?
Brothers Brawl is on the list. Damiani.
All right, Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
OG.
Oh, of course.
OG Mario Kart.
Oh, sorry, not Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart Wii. Sorry.
Oh,
Mario Kart Wii.
oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Mario
Sorry,
Kart
I
8
got
came
the- I
out
got
on the Wii U.
Sorry. Sorry. I was like, wait a second. You called it wrong name, bud.
It's all right. No problem. Jonah.
New Super Mario Bros.
New Super Mario Brothers
Nice,
Wii is on the
cool.
list.
Mm.
Caden.
Mario Galaxy.
Mario Galaxy's on the list.
Oh, good pull.
Damiani.
Is We Play on the list?
Wii Play is on the list.
Oh,
I had that one. I forgot about that. I played the billiards all the time.
Jonah, you're up.
Mario Galaxy 2.
Dang it. That's what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry, Mario Galaxy 2 is not on the list.
Oh, okay.
Caden.
I want to believe, but there's no way. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption.
Sorry, there's no Metroid Prime games on this list.
Let me down.
All right,
All right. I don't know if
Damiani.
this will count because the peripheral thing again, but We Fit.
Wii Fit is on the list.
Oh,
I just thought I wanted. Hope it makes it back to me.
Jonah.
Wii Sports Resort.
Wii Sports Resort is on the list.
What? Okay.
Caden, you're up.
Gotta have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Oh yeah, duh.
Not on the list.
Whoa, really? That's okay. That's the inferior version of that game anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
what I had.
that ends our Wii round. Okay, the ones that you did not guess were, let's see, Wii Fit Plus
Oh, okay.
Oh,
and Just Dance 3.
It's like
of
one of the
course.
Just Dances is on there. I just didn't know which one. I was like,
Wasn't it like the last like 2 years were like the first years that Just Dance wasn't on the Wii?
yeah, it's been like on the Wii since like
That's
until
insane.
recently.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We wanted to like order it just to like have it. Say, like, we have Just Dance 2019 on Wii, physical copy.
All right, next round. Damiani, kicking it back to you to select the console again. You have PS2, Nintendo 64, 360, PS3, and PS1.
All right, I want to do one that's just gonna be like chaos. So
Oh,
I'm
no.
picking Xbox 360.
Yes,
no.
let's go.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start
Xbox
off with
360. Go
yeah,
ahead.
Xbox 360. I'll start off with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, you took mine.
That is on the list.
Thank God.
I was gonna say. Oh, I don't even know if I have a guess.
Jonah,
Halo 3.
Halo 3 is on the list.
Wait, is this Xbox or Xbox 360?
360.
360.
Oh my god, I didn't even have a 360. I have no clue.
That's why I asked you about the hard drive.
Xbox exclusives. Was there a like racing game? Like Forza something. Forza 4, Forza 3. I don't know.
I think Forza.
Sorry,
Okay.
not on the list. Damiani.
All right. Please let this be on there. Skyrim.
Oh.
It is on the list.
No, Oblivion's gotta
Can't
be
go
on
wrong
there.
with Skyrim.
Jonah.
Halo Reach.
Sorry, not on the list.
What? That is the
Not on
best
the
one. What?
Now it's divisive.
Caden, back to you.
Okay, I'm still gonna say Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Not on the list, sir.
Dang it,
I'm sorry.
dang it.
That ends the 360 round.
All right.
Oh.
Which Maddens were on there?
There were no Maddens on the list.
Oh man.
Oh,
What-
Gears of
okay,
War,
real quick.
guys! Gears of War.
There was
Call of
also no
Duty Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2 is on the list. Yes.
Okay.
As is Black Ops 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Modern
all,
Warfare 1.
And,
all
so-
Call of Duty.
and that's the last of the
Oh, okay.
Modern Warfare 3 is also on the list.
Oh, okay.
Then you
Yeah,
have
mid.
GTA 4
Oh gosh.
and
yes.
and GTA 5
Yep.
and Minecraft.
Minecraft! What is wrong with this?
These are
Oh
like
my
at the
god!
top, aren't they?
And at the very top, how could you guys forget this? Connect Adventures.
Was that a pack-in or something?
With 24 million copies sold.
Oh, cheating. Attack
All
him.
right.
Wow.
Okay, that's the end of the third round. You guys want to do one more round? Or
Yeah.
two more rounds? What do you think?
Let Caden pick one. Let Caden pick the next one.
Okay, one more. We'll have a chance. We have a clear winner right now.
Right now, the score is tied with Damiani and Jonah with 7 points each. Caden, you have 4. So-
Maybe we should have a sudden death between Jonah and Damiani on the
Okay.
No, let's just do one more round. If it gets to the end and we need to do sudden,
Maybe I'll make a comeback. So what are the consoles we have left?
we have PlayStation 1, we've got PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and Nintendo 64.
Let's go with PlayStation 1. Seems like it might be easier to do than PlayStation 2.
I would like,
We'll see
please
how it
don't do
goes.
PlayStation 2. That's gonna be so
Yeah,
hard.
that's like
All right.
how many
All
thousands
right.
of games are on there.
Okay, Caden. Since you picked the console, you can go first.
I'm gonna go with the OG Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot is
Oh, God.
not on
Oh
the
God, no!
Are
The
you
people
serious?
don't know. The people don't know. That's worrying. I think I made a mistake.
Oh.
Okay,
All right,
Damiani, your turn.
Final Fantasy VII.
Final
Oh,
Fantasy 7 is on the
Ah,
list.
Of
Yes.
course. Why didn't I think of that?
Jonah.
little purple dragon named Spyro.
Man,
Sorry, no Spyro.
Whoa! What?
what is going
I'm scared
on?
now. I thought it was a
Okay.
lock.
Please tell me Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider's on the list.
Okay, thank goodness.
And Damiani's already won because he's got one ahead of me.
Sexual Awakening.
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid is on the list.
Duh, what is wrong with us?
Jonah.
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo is on the list.
I was
I was
gonna
about to
say,
say,
ow.
freak out.
Okay, Caden.
I mean, it's legendary. How could it not be? But let's go
Radiata
with,
story.
I wish. Let's go with Final Fantasy 9.
Not on the list, sir. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
All right, that ends the PlayStation 1 round. So, the games that you did not guess, Gran Turismo 2, 9.37 million copies. Final Fantasy 8 with 8.6 million copies.
8 did better than 9. What?
Tekken 3 with 8.3 million
Oh,
copies.
Yes, Tekken.
Played so much Tekken 3. Why didn't I think of that?
The black horse of the whole thing, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone
Yeah, we would totally got
with
that.
8 million copies.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, 7.58 million.
Oh,
The
you
people
got
knew by the time
robbed.
2 came out.
You got robbed.
Crash Bandicoot Warped with 7.13 million.
You got
so there
robbed.
there were 2 Crash Bandicoot games on there, but Crash Bandicoot 1 was not one of them. I'm sorry. So
Still the
that
most
brings
bad about
us
Tekken 3, to be
that
honest.
brings us to the end of the game. Congratulations, Damiani. You won with 9 points. Jonah, you had 8 points.
Congratulations.
close.
Hayden, you had 5 points.
I'm okay with that. That's better than I thought it would
I
be.
mean, you didn't get 0 points, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, Wes, thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to make the game. It's
Yeah,
my favorite part of the show. You do a
Fantastic.
bang job every time. And with that, folks, we've made it to the end of the podcast. Congratulations. Give yourself a little pat on the back. And we'll go around real quick for final thoughts. So as our guest, Damiani, we'll let you go first. Just literally anything that's on your mind, anything you want to plug. Just feel free. Final thoughts.
Sure. Had a really good time doing this.
Awesome.
That was a pretty fun game. That
Yeah.
I felt really bad that I don't know every single like
I know.
Switch one, because generally I like keep pretty up to date with that, but I think this speaks to the volume of games that have just come out this past month
Yeah.
of October, because
Mhm.
as we head into Thanksgiving in the US, like we've been feasting, as Huber would say, on so many great games these past few weeks. I've just like lost track of time. Even though I'm not reviewing all of them, I've been like playing like pretty much every game. I've been like bouncing between like Bayonetta and then like God of War, because I need to finish Ragnarok
Yep.
as well, and then trying to try out some of Sonic Frontiers. Even though I'm not the one reviewing that, I still want to like check it out as well. And then we still got some more games
Yep.
Like,
It's not stopping.
Shout
Rolling
out
into
to
March.
Sonic Frontiers bringing it back, bringing Sonic around, giving
Well,
him a good
we'll
name.
see, Jonah. We'll see.
It's interesting. I feel like it's on the same trajectory. Maybe it didn't have quite as bad of an opening as we talked about earlier, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Because you remember when that came out? Sorry, when that was first, its existence was leaked. Everyone wrote that thing off as an abomination. As that's going to be a disaster. Who thought this was a good idea? Like Rabbids humor mixed with Mario, and like we didn't, and then like people got their hands on it, and that changed opinion pretty quickly. That ooh, we were pretty wrong about that. Think sort of same thing with Sonic Frontiers. Early showings, people were like, what is this? Does it look like a tech demo? Is this actually fun? And I feel like the more people have gotten hands on with it, the more people are saying it's not. You might want to try it out. It's like not maybe not great, but like it's also not like terrible. I think people are writing off as like trash or something, and it's turning out to be decent. So I'm like, I just want to give it the fair shake.
Caden, listen to the music.
Oh, okay.
The music is
huh?
They got a nice
I mean, Sonic's
butt
always
rock
pretty
anime intro, like main theme for the song or the game. It's so good.
You
dude.
could forget City Escape.
Are you pitching us Sonic Frontiers right now?
No,
I almost want to. I'm gonna buy Jonah this game just so you can pitch it. Cool. Anything else for your final thoughts, Damiani?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
and, it was a pleasure and a blast. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Wes, final thoughts, please.
Yeah, I just want to bring it back to the last episode. Anybody that listened, and I know there were only like 16 of you out there, but I just had to bring this up. So if you were listening to the last episode, we were going through the recount of the previous debate where we had the Final Fantasy Jobs debate, and Jonah was just about to announce the winner of the debate. And
all right, Jonah, final thoughts.
Damiani, thank you so much for being here, man. It was super fun having you. Also, we have some fun stuff going on in the GGD Discord. It's that time of year again. Community Secret Santa. So if you'd like to hop in, we've got a like max gift cap is $50. Unless you want to buy somebody a brand new game. Obviously you can buy someone a game. We're the Great Game Debate. If you can't buy if you don't have the opportunity to buy somebody a game because the cap is too high, then that's dumb. But yeah, we got Secret Santa going on. We might try and squeeze in a game club. I don't think so, but we might try and squeeze one more game club in for the end of the year. And yeah, get out there, play some games, baby. We got good stuff coming out. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has been really fun to play, by the way. I know everyone likes RPGs and stuff, and nobody really cares about Call of Duty, but as the
majority of the world cares.
A resident Call of Duty guy of the Great Game Debate, I will give my endorsement for Modern Warfare 2.
Sweet. All right. For my final thoughts, I just want to echo these guys. Thanks so much, Damiani, for taking the time to be out here. And I know you guys, Easy Allies, are primarily viewer supported. So, if you're not familiar with Easy Allies, please check them out on YouTube. And, if you are, consider checking out their Patreon. My final thought is just going to be another fact for Metal Gear Solid 3 that I have written down here. So I think a lot of people are familiar that if you save and quit your game while you're stuck in jail, when you load the game back up, you find yourself in like a mini game where you're playing like a third person hack and slash fighting like bioweapon zombie people or whatever. And then once the mini game times out, Snake wakes up and it was just a nightmare. But what people may not know is that if you immediately call Sigint after having your nightmare and tell him about it, he tells you about the worst nightmare he ever had, where there's a giant blob style pile of animate like turds, and it's consuming everything else in the world and turning everything into turds. Of course, he uses a less PC version of the word turd, but just the stuff in that game, dude, it is nutty. All right, well, we are the Great Game Debate podcast. Come join us in the Discord for some non-toxic, fun video game discussion and, pop culture discussion in general. And as always, happy gaming. Bye.
Bye.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MISTRIVEN719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.
And it conveniently cut straight to the next segment right before that.
Calculated.
So, yeah, I just kind of want to call shenanigans here. Just because I stole some of your money, you can't just go willy-nilly taking my victory like that, man. It's not cool, okay? Okay, I won that debate. People deserve to know who won the debate, all right?
Congratulations, Wes.
Proud of you,
You're
Wes.
also better than Blue Mages.
How funny would it be if I just edited all of that out?
Oh, no.
I just want to say, and then Caden just starts talking with his thing. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past you.
Oh, okay. Now it's definitely getting edited out.